Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I thought I would film another try a chapter book tag because I have a little bit of free time today and I just thought, it would be super fun. And I dragged my couch like all the way to the window of my room because I was gonna film it in the corner over there, but it's a dark and gloomy rainy day today in June, which is like weird. And I'm using my new mug from Berkeley. It's just the cutest. I love this size of a mug. Anyways, so I thought that I would do a try a chapter book tag, but instead of just doing it with like 7 random books like I have been in the past, I thought I would do popular young adult books currently. I don't really know what I mean by like popular, it's just these are ones that I'm like seeing a lot lately around Instagram and BookTube and Goodreads and just like everywhere. And so I thought I would read the first chapter of all of them because I haven't read any of these really popular young adult books yet. And then I would just say what I think about them so far and which ones sound the most interesting so far and which ones have the coolest premises. And I'll put links in the description for both of my previous try a chapter book tags. I've done this video twice before and it was really fun both times, and I like discovered new books that I wanted to read. So this tag is always fun for me to do because I get to read things. The 7 books that I'm planning on reading the first chapter of are Girl Made of Stars, Dredd Nation, Emergency Contact, Undead Girl Gang, I Was Born for This, The Astonishing Color of After, and The Brightsiders. Yeah, in case you're wondering, I'm going to be reading these all on my phone. If you go to the iBooks app on your phone, they offer you to download like a sample of any book that you want, and you get the first couple of chapters to read for free if you didn't know that. So I'm going to be downloading these 7 books, the samples of the 7 books, and reading the first chapter and then commenting on what I think of them so far. So, woo! I think I'm just going to start with Girl Made of Stars. Just finished the first chapter of Girl Made of Stars. Follows this teenage girl named Mara who is bisexual, which I didn't realize. I don't think it said that in the description of the book, but that's pretty freaking lit. So it follows this girl named Mara who's bisexual and her twin brother Owen, which I didn't realize that they were twins, so that makes it even more interesting because I know the premise of this book is that her brother rapes this girl and then like it's like her family has to deal with that happening, and like I've never considered that point of view before, like the younger sister of somebody being accused of rape, so like I'm really curious to see where this story goes. And first chapter was just introducing their really like cute relationship. Like they have a very cute twin relationship and they're both friends with this other boy named Alex, and they've like all been friends like their whole lives, so it seems like it's really cute so far, and I know that it's going to go to like really dark and deep places, so this is a young adult book that I'm definitely interested in finishing. Like, I can't wait to read this. Alright, next I'm gonna jump into Dredd Nation. So, I just finished the first chapter of Dredd Nation. There was a prologue and a first chapter. The prologue was like 4 pages, and then the first chapter was like 21 pages. So it's been a minute. This book is very interesting. If you don't know the premise of it, it's like it takes place in like the Civil War era days in the United States. This book looks at an alternate universe where zombies became a thing during the Civil War, and like they came out, like all the soldiers on Gettysburg died and like came back to life as zombies during the Civil War, and then the government Congress established this like thing to make the black people fight the zombies. They used the black people as the soldiers to fight the zombies. That's basically what this book is about, which is like fucking insane. And it starts off like right away, like the prologue. The very first line of the book is, "The day I came squealing and squalling into the world was the first time someone tried to kill me." Eerie and strange. And then the end of the prologue just says, "But all of that was dashed to hell 2 days after I was born, when the dead rose up and started to walk on a battlefield in a small town in Pennsylvania called Gettysburg." It's showing how the Civil War that was happening in Gettysburg, like 2 days after she was born, those soldiers started coming back to life. And like, what the fuck? That's such a cool, crazy concept. I'm like, what? And now in the first chapter, she's like a teenage girl and she's going to Miss Preston's School of Combat, and she's like learning how to fight the dead basically. And it kind of gives you like a info dump on like the history of what happened with Congress. It sounds really interesting so far. I will admit that first chapter was kind of long. Definitely had some info dumping, but I think that was totally necessary for, like, you need to know what's going on, But wow, that one is very interesting. So next I think I'm gonna be jumping into Emergency Contact. Just finished the first chapter of Emergency Contact. I just realized that I don't really know what this book is about. So far it follows this Korean teenage girl named Penny. She's dealing with this confrontation with this mean girl Madison Chandler at her school, and Madison Chandler's dad is like flirting with her mom, and she explains how it sucks to have a mom who's like such a MILF. And then she has this guy that's her boyfriend named Mark that comes over, and I say boyfriend because she doesn't really consider him to be her boyfriend, but she just like uses him for sex, I guess, and like relationshipy things. Yeah, I mean, so far this is okay. It's not like super catching my attention right away, but you know, it feels like the average like young adult type of book. I think I'm going to jump into Undead Girl Gang now, which I'm really excited about because this one is high on my TBR, so just finished the first chapter of Undead Girl Gang. The book opened with the very first line is, "The problem with your best friend dying is that there's no one to sit with you at funerals." Opens on the scene of the funeral of her best friend who died suspiciously. Like, her body was found floating in the river or the water, and it was all like bloodied and stuff, and the police just automatically declared it as a suicide without doing any kind of investigation. And she knows in her soul that like her best friend did not commit suicide, and she knows that she was murdered. In the first chapter, Riley, her best friend that died, her brother Xander, is that how you say that name? Xander? He gives a speech at the funeral, and we find out that the main character has always had a crush on her best friend's brother, and she never got a chance to tell her before she died. Sorry, fuck my eyes, like, ugh. Contact problems, ugh. That was a very interesting first chapter. I kind of like the main character's like attitude. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is it Mila? It's M-I-L-A, and I can't wait to read that one. I really like the main character's like narration and attitude so far, so. Alright, next I think I'm going to jump into I Was Born for This by Alice Osmond. So I just finished the first chapter for I Was Born for This by Alice Osmond, and this was really interesting. So I guess it follows this girl named Angel who is online friends with this other girl named Juliet, and then the first chapter is them meeting for the first time in person like ever. They're both obsessed with this boy band called The Ark, and they're gonna be like going to their concert, I guess, and meeting them for the very first time. I used to be obsessed with the Jonas Brothers when I was in middle school and high school. Like, they were like my entire life, and so I completely understand this like fangirl, this desire to like want to freak out and be a fangirl. Like, I love how at the end of the first chapter she's like checking their Twitter, and she's like, they've arrived at their hotel, and she's like freaking out, and they're looking up like little blurry pictures that other fans have took. Like, I totally remember that lifestyle. I thought it was like interesting in that first chapter where Juliet says she invited her other friend Mac, which is this other guy who like loves the band, and then she's like, you didn't tell me, like what the hell. Like, and I totally relate to that because like I hate when you're gonna hang out with somebody and they don't let you know that they're also planning on inviting like somebody else too, and then there's like that awkward like, oh cool, I get to hang out with all these people that I don't know, you know? So I totally related to a lot of different parts in this first chapter, but I'm interested. You know, I haven't really read anything by Alice Osmond besides Radio Silence, which I just read last month, and so I wasn't really like knowing for sure if I wanted to read this one or not because I didn't really know what it was about. I mean, now I'm definitely interested in it. I really like the main character Angel so far, and I don't know, it says the next chapter is from the point of view of Jimmy, and so I don't know who that is, if that's one of the boys in the Ark maybe? Yeah, I think Jimmy is one of the boys in the band The Ark, so that's kind of cool, I guess, that it's following one of the boys too. We'll get the perspective of a fangirl and of the boy that's in the band and his lifestyle and everything, so it's interesting. I kind of liked it. I wasn't expecting to really like it that much, but I like it. Next up, I think I'm gonna start The Astonishing Color of After, and I'm so excited for this first chapter because this is one of my most anticipated books. Okay, I just finished the first chapter. Holy shit, like, you know when you can just tell that a book is going to be very gorgeously written just from a small little sample? Like, that is this book. I feel like this is one of those rare young adult books that are just written so beautifully. Like, the prose is just so gorgeous. The first line of this book is, "My mother is a bird. This isn't like some William Faulkner stream of consciousness metaphorical crap. My mother is literally a bird." I'm not sure what that means or like where this is going, because I assumed that this was like a magical realism type of book, so I don't know if she thinks her mother is an actual bird now that she's died, or if it's like some kind of, like, it's obviously not a metaphor what she just said, so now I'm kind of like interested, like, what does this mean? But the first chapter just kind of starts talking about how she remembers the night that her mother died, and she was over at this guy Axel's house. She was like in his basement on his couch with him. I think it's really beautiful, like already the way that it's written when she talks about how her dad, I think, was the one to find her mom's body. When he finally got the words out, his voice crawled through an ocean to get to me. Like, just the way that's written is so fucking beautiful. And I love the way that this book is talking about colors already. Like, right in the beginning, Axel asks her what color, and it says, "This is the question we always ask to figure out what the other person's feeling. One color to describe a mood, a success, a failure, or a wish." And so they ask each other, like, what color when they're trying to figure out what mood the other person is at, which I think is really interesting. And already, like, she's describing a lot of things with color. Like, she says, "Our lips were everywhere and my body was fluorescent orange. No, royal purple. No, my body was every color in the world alight." And like, she's using color to describe all of her feelings. So I think that's such a perfect title, that it's saying the astonishing color of after. Like, that title makes so much more sense to me now. And how the first chapter ends with her like leaving his house, and when she slams the door, "The front door slammed as I left. Even his house was pissed at me. The sound rang out puke green. I thought of the hardcover of a book smacking shut on a story that wasn't finished." And that's the way the first chapter ends. Like, God, that is such beautiful writing, and like everything is described as a color, which I just think is so vivid and beautiful, and like I immediately want to continue reading this right now. Like, it's really good so far. Like, just the writing style is gorgeous. I can already tell it's gonna have that beautiful mother-daughter relationship, even though the mother is like dead. I'm highly impressed, and I knew I was gonna love this one, and I really, really want to read it now. And now I'm going to read the last one, The Brightsiders. Woo! I just finished the first chapter of The Brightsiders, and I didn't realize this one is also about a band, and The Brightsiders is like their band. It follows the main girl is named Emmy King, and she's the main lead girl singer of the band, and it follows from her point of view. And then she has a girlfriend named Jessie, so she's either lesbian or bisexual or something, which is cool. I didn't know that they had an LGBT character as the main character in this book. And then her two bandmates are Alfie and Ryan, and they're two guys that are her bandmates, and then I think that is like the entire band. And the entire first chapter is like her getting really drunk in this club or something in West Hollywood, and then like her girlfriend and the bandmates are trying to like get her out and into the car without the paparazzi like seeing her being drunk. Her girlfriend Jessie like kicks out her bandmates out of the car because she wants to be alone with her or something, and then drives the car like fast, and they get into an accident or something, and then a bunch of other cars hit them, and there's this huge accident, and then her girlfriend is like getting arrested for drinking and driving. So it was a very eventful first chapter. I don't know, it's interesting, you know, because this is the same author as Queens of Geek, which I wasn't like a huge fan of that book, but I did like her writing in that book, so I'm interested. I feel like this is one of those books that could go either way, you know, like I think it has potential to be interesting for sure, but I feel like it's already kind of building the same setup as Queens of Geek. It has the same formula of like one of them is famous, and then like it's like a group of 3 friends, and in Queens of Geek it was 2 girls and 1 guy, and then there was a romance between the girl and the guy, and then the girl that was like the celebrity was the one that was lesbian, I believe. And then in this book it's like there's 2 guys and the 1 girl, and they're all famous in a band. It's kind of like, it feels kind of similar to Queens of Geek. Not that that's a bad thing, but you know, I'd be interested to see. And I really like this cover. I like the like glasses and the girl's hair. I think it's a cute cover. I don't know, if you've read this one, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Have you read any of these 7 books? If you have, what are your thoughts on them, and which one do you think I should continue reading first? I mean, to be completely honest now, I have a lot of interest in I Was Born for this, and I didn't really have any interest in it before this video. The one that has the most potential for me to be interested in is definitely The Astonishing Color of After. That's the one that I'm gravitating to the most, and the one that I'm really curious and want to read the most right now. I'm pretty genuinely surprised. Like, the only one that I didn't like super care for was Emergency Contact. I just thought that one was okay. Dredd Nation, I think, definitely has a lot of potential there. It was kind of a slow first chapter, but I think the potential there is really cool, and the idea and concept is really cool for that one. Out of all of these, I really like The Astonishing Color of After the most, and that's probably the one I'm gonna read first. But I I also really want to read Girl Made of Stars and Undead Girl Gang, and I was born for this, surprisingly. So I think that this was a successful try a chapter. It's interesting because like most of these books that I just read are all young adult contemporaries. I feel like a lot of times a lot of young adult contemporaries start to feel the same, you know, all the characters start to like read the same to me, especially since I'm only reading the first chapter of all of these, but I think I definitely got a taste for what the book is about and how it feels. Yeah, I'm impressed. I wasn't expecting to like really like a lot of them, so this was good because I feel like I'm starting to not want to read young adult books as much lately. Like, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just because recently I've been more and more disappointed with young adult books, or I just have more interest in reading adult books or new adult books because I'm getting more towards that age, you know? Like, I'm 23, I'm considered a new adult, I think, and I'm wanting to read stuff that I can find more relatable now, you know? But I still really like reading young adult. I thought I didn't. I thought I was growing away from it just because there are some young adult books that I'm like, oh my god, like, they just like really annoy me, but I like those 7 that I just read. They're not bad. As I said, if you've read any of the 7 books that I just read the first chapter of them, please let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.